Hey everybody, this is Irma with Irma Entourage. Thank you so much for being here. It is Friday, August, 21st. I don't know where the year is gone, but thank you all for being here. For the last few months, we've done a lot of Zoom events with our virtual audience in film, music, everywhere. It's a good time to stay connected with folks despite what's going on around the world. So we've done a lot of this with our Hollywood from Home series. Today we have three very special guests. Thanks to Impact24 PR. Please check out Impact24PR.com. They did not pay me to say that, but check them out on your own when you can. Today with three special guests. Elyssa, Samsel, and Kate Anderson are the Annie Award nominated songwriters behind Disney Animation's Olaf's Frozen Adventure. They currently are the in-house songwriters for Apple TV's Central Park, an animated musical series from the minds of Loren, Bouchard, and Josh Gad. They are developing a feature film for Warner Brothers loosely based on Rip Van Winkle. We also have Chris Fitzgerald, an American film editor. His works include Transformers Prime, The East Siders, Lost in Oz, Bob's Burgers, and Central Park. Chris was born in Utah and attended Southern Utah University, obtaining his bachelor's degree in 2000 and his master's in directing from the University of Hawaii in 2007. Welcome, Elyssa, Kate, and Chris. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Thanks. We're excited.
This is cool because we have a good blend of things. We have an editor, we have songwriters, so everyone here will have something to learn from regardless of which area of film you're in. I see, hold on, Elyssa, there's a cello behind you. You want to play some intro music for us really quick? No, I'm kidding. You don't have to.
No, cello's not my main instrument.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for being here anyway. And I just love the backgrounds. I had to point it out because I used to be a
Oh, no,
violinist
of course. During
Yeah.
quarantine, it's just kind of my only friend right now.
Oh. So, songwriters and editing, like I said, we have something for everybody. Chris, I was yesterday years old when I found out like animated projects had an editor. I didn't know that was a thing. So talk about getting into that field of work.
Yeah, so it's interesting because we're all used to live action, TV with actors who are right there on camera. Animation, it's a process. It's a long process with many people. But editors, we come in two different phases. There's the pre-production, which is the animatics where storyboards are. So if you know what storyboards are, it's all of the mini drawings put up on a board, right? That's the story. But the animatic editor takes all of those images and puts them in a timeline and creates what the show will be. And then those are then shipped off or given to the animators who animate it shot by shot by shot. And that returns, and the post color editor drops that in right over top the animatic, and that is the show. That's a very simple way of doing it, but yeah, so that's how the editor comes in. And that animatic editor is really involved with timing, creating sound effects, everything that needs to happen that you might, with live action, the actor is going to say it a certain way, the scenery is going to be, the camera is going to move a certain way. The animatic editor is really helping create that. So there's a lot of imagination in that phase if you're that editor. In the post, there's a lot of fixing, retakes, making sure it's finished for delivery so that everyone can enjoy what that final product is.
Fantastic. And Kate and Elyssa, songwriting partners, did you come into the industry together, or did you like meet each other in the industry? And how did you become a team?
So we actually met in a songwriting workshop for musical theater 10 years ago, almost to the day, actually. And we both were actresses and, musicians and trying to figure out what we wanted to do with our lives. And we both had a weird hunger to make musical theater, which I feel like is its own unique thing. And so we met in this workshop, and they paired us together for our very first assignment. It's sort of like speed dating in the first year for composers and lyricists. And we like to say that it was love at first write. And
Yeah, we wanted to become another female songwriting team because we felt like there was a little bit of a lack in that category.
yeah. So that's how we met, and we both were like, hey, do you want to just very irresponsibly quit our day jobs and try to do this for a living? And so we did.
That was gutsy. But you made it, Ma, right? Fantastic. And for all three of you, actually. So I'm a big fan of Bob's Burgers. So I've seen the show before Central Park. So they have, of course, similarities visually, even the same voices. So like, how did you go about creating a show for Apple TV that had its own identity from Bob's Burgers? Because that could be a challenge in itself, kind of creating something that's vastly different from what people are used to if they're already fans of the other show.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, we came in with Josh Gad, and he sort of came to us and was like, "Hey, do you know that show Bob's Burgers?" And we were like, "Yes, we're huge fans." And he was like, "Well, I'm going to do something with Loren Bouchard," and he was like, "It's going to be a real live. It's going to be a musical, and we're going to try and take what people love about Bob's Burgers and the music and that, but actually make it like a real to feel like a real Broadway musical." And we were like, "We're so in. Where do we sign the contract?" And yeah, from there we just kind of tried to keep what people love about Bob's Burgers and the whimsy, and having Loren and Nora have just have their voices in our ears as we were starting to create the early sound and the music was so helpful in staying true to their incredibly brilliant sense of humor and unique voices, and then also just making it feel like it really could move the story along in music and earn those song moments throughout every 22-minute episode.
Yeah, I think too, Bob's has always had music involved, but with you two and Josh coming in, and like that combination of Loren, Nora, and Josh and you two, it's like it just upped everything, because Bob's has the same heart. Characters are rich. The songs are really fun, but Central Park is just like everything is increased and just so fun. So
Yeah, and the fact that it's set in Central Park, I think was such a great blank canvas for us to begin with, because if you take a stroll through Central Park, you're bound to hear all different types of music. And so in order to take that, honor it, and represent how many different styles of music and people you'll see in Central Park, it was like just a great launching pad for us to figure out, well, what would Central Park as a musical sound like? How many different genres can we dive into musically? And how many different people can we hear from? And so I think that having that as a premise was already such a great way to start a brand new TV show.
Love it. Now, Chris, question for you. You've done work in the live action world, right?
yes, yeah.
So how did that, what did you learn from that helps you editing in animation?
Yeah, I think that with live action and animation, they share so many things. But with animation, especially in the pre-production animatic phase, you're creating everything. So you have to have the sensibility of what would happen in reality, and then try to translate that into these static boards. So that's definitely something that comes, you're using your imagination a lot, but staying within reality of how long a car would take to get around a corner, and so that timing and pacing. I think something popped up about Central Park. Oh, just like all of the richness of Central Park. I was going to bounce back to that. Just there's so much fuel there with the setting. Yeah, so there was something else too with the editing that I was going to talk about, but I lost.
We can whenever it comes back, you just hop in there,
yeah.
Even if it interrupts Kate's or Alyssa's answer. No, I'm kidding. Don't.
Yeah.
And same thing for you, Kate and Elyssa. How do you go about singing songs in real life to doing something whimsical in animation?
Ooh, I mean, we have always felt that where other musical theater writers like exist at like a happy like 7, we've always been at like a 15 in terms of like the hitting you over the head with whimsy. So animation always felt like a really natural step for us, because we are just big dreamers who tend to like gravitate towards the weird and the whimsical and the fantastical and funny and quirky, and so it was a really good fit for us to go to animation.
Yeah, I remember the first song that we wrote was for the pilot, and it was obviously the big opening number, Central in My Heart, and we wanted to showcase the hot dog vendors in the park, the halal truck owners, the people selling mangoes and churros, the people rowing on the boat pond, and all the different musicians that you see busking in the park, and people exercising and people picnicking. And because there's all those cast members, then you couldn't have in a Broadway musical, because there's not enough costumes, there's not enough actors, there's not a budget to support all those people. And the craziest thing is the animation, where they're able to create all of those characters, and they pop in and out, and they all say a line, and you can hear from so many different characters, and it's my favorite thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that richness. There was something we talked about early too on that first episode, is that we had more characters in that opening song than you may have in an entire episode. And so it's so rich, the grandeur of Central Park in that first few episodes, and then even moving through. It's really nice. And that song especially, all of the different voices and characters that you were able to create, at least, create the foundation for those actors to then play off of. Really nice. Nice work, you too.
You too.
So for all three of you, I'm a big fan of hearing stories of when people get on the show. Like, oh, you found out, like, hey, I'm working on Central Park now. So what was that? What was the story for you folks? Like, how'd you get the gig in the first place?
I can just talk about, I've worked with Bento Box, who produces Bob's Burgers, and I'd worked on some other shows as well, The Awesomes, which was Seth Meyers' series on Hulu a while back, and that was with Bento Box. So I'd worked with a lot of these teams before, and Central Park was bubbling, and they were talking about it. It was in development, and they were kind of trying to figure out when and how, and was it picked up? Is it a green light? But they knew, they were like, we want someone who has a musical sensibility. Early on in my early 20s, I was a singer and was on cruise ships and also was a performer. So I had that background and that musical sensibility, and they knew that they wanted to have an editor that could be aware of how that works, how meter plays, the phrasing of things, and to build up the pace into a song so it's not that jarring feeling. Mm-hmm. So they started to tease, what are you doing? What's next? How, can we bring you on? And so there was a position that opened on Bob's Burgers as the assistant, and they said, come onto that, and we'll see what happens with the Central Park thing. So that's how I snuck into Central Park. But really amazing people to work with, and again, just so much about your network and who you know and who you've worked with in the past. For me.
And that worked out perfectly. We're so lucky that it's you, Chris, because you do have that musical sensibility. You can see it, you can feel it when you're watching the show. You can tell that Chris knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
It's a big team effort. We're all working in there, definitely. But thank you. Yeah, it's been fun to be able to have that side of editing a part of the show.
Amazing. And now I have a few more questions before we turn it over to the audience. But this is all for all three of you.
But I have a question. How did you two? Oh,
go ahead.
Get onto the show, Kate and
so we had worked with Josh on Olaf's Frozen Adventure, obviously, and we met. And Elyssa, what did he say that first day? Like, he was like, you two wrote me the highest.
Yeah, he was like, why is this song so high? But Olaf from Frozen, he sings in that really high voice, and even the other characters that Josh has played in the past too, he sings, and it's his voice, he sounds fantastic up there. So anyway, it turned into an instant friendship, because he was accusing us of writing a song in too high of a key for him, and then our senses of humor just really matched. And then he said he would want to work with us again, and we said, yeah, anything you want. And then one day he actually did reach out with another opportunity, which was Central Park.
Yeah, he actually sent me an Instagram message, and that was bizarre, because first of all, he had our emails, but I guess he forgot he did. And he just sent me this very vague message just saying, hey, I have a question for you. And I responded right away, and he didn't respond back. And all day long I was like, what does Josh Gad want to ask me? And then he called, and he was like, oh, I had to go through so many channels to get your number. And I was like, but you have our email address. But anyway, it was just a very funny conversation. And he said all the stuff about I'm working with Loren, and I immediately was just like, freaking out. And as always, like with everything that Elyssa and I have ever worked on, it feels like those jobs come along at just the right moment when you're sort of like really low and feeling like, what is the next thing, and how is my life going to take, did I take the right path after all in doing this? And Josh called it exactly the right moment. And I just called Elyssa like crying, being like, this show and it could just be everything we wanted to do.
There's always a serendipity to it as well, because Kate had worked in Central Park with the Public Theater doing Shakespeare in the Park, and I had worked in Central Park. I had spent a lot of time in Central Park as a busker with my violin and my case open, and I would play classical music for people. And so it's just so crazy to me that full circle, now 10 years later, you know, writing songs for a character who plays violin in Central Park, played by Josh Gad. The serendipity of it all is really wild.
Now, Chris, you already knew Bento Box, and Kate and Elyssa, you already knew Josh. So for those who are new, or maybe they're in school and they're filmmakers, or they're in music, or they're editors, what is some tangible advice to give them to start networking and reaching the right people? Because maybe someone here wants to, you know, they want to be a songwriter in animation, or they want to be an editor in film and animation. So what's like some tangible advice you can, in terms of like setting the groundwork now so that they can network with?
I think it's just do as many projects that you can. If you get asked to work on something and you have the time available, you know, you have to make sure you're paying your bills and you're taking care of yourself, but say yes to as many. If anything comes up that they're like, oh, you know, I'm doing this thing, I'm shooting this thing, and then all you have to say is, oh, that sounds great. Do you have an editor? What do you know, I'd love to help you. I would do photography on set, because they'd be like, do you have a still photographer? Great. I would just shoot behind the scenes stuff, and then they knew me. And then later on it would be like, oh, I'm shooting this thing. I'd be like, hey, I'm editing more now. Do you need an editor? And not being afraid to just ask, because that cannot hurt. And also supporting and being excited about other people's work, regardless if you're going to be involved. It can only help you, and just being genuine. I think that's, and then doing the best work you can.
Yeah, I love what you said, Chris, and especially because you can see your positivity coming through with saying yes to people and being supportive of their work. I think those are such important things to do, because staying positive will always just lead you to more and more opportunities. And Kate and I have always been very lucky to have met people that then become mentors. If you meet someone who's doing exactly what you want to be doing, or close to what you want to be doing, if you can approach them with kindness and humbleness, and offer to take them out for coffee, or offer them, just, could I just pick your brain, even if it's over email. I think forming relationships like that with the people who are doing what you want to be doing is immensely helpful, because you can learn a lot from them. And there's so many incredible people in this industry who will take time out of their day to explain their process and how they got to where they are. And just learning and soaking up from people who are doing what you want to be doing is priceless. It's really, really helpful.
Yeah. And then I would just add, like, have the work to show. So when that person who became your mentor goes, oh, you know what, I can't do this project, but I actually have a little mentee I've been working with. They would be great. You should maybe give them a shot. Have those demos ready to go. Have that work ready to show. Be able to show range, and then just also come in with like a really easygoing attitude, and be somebody that people like being around and want to work with and play nice with in the sandbox. And then, also just keep in mind, like, some projects, like, you might want to make it your vision because you're really excited about something, but it's someone else's vision. So you're there to support their vision, so that someday maybe you can be the person with the vision who has people supporting you.
Now, I don't want to change the tone of this conversation because it's going so well, but I want to, and this is just out of curiosity, I wonder if there's the opposite end. Like, have there been episodes where people hit you up about like collaborating, but they do in the worst way? Like, for me, a lot of people will DM me like, hey, I have a song, can you send it to so-and-so? I was like, can you say hi first? Like, hi. Are there some like really opposite things they should be doing in terms of like trying to network with people in the industry?
I really think it's just, if you're going into it and you are being as humble as you can be, then I think, and as positive as you can be, I don't think you can, rub someone the wrong way or anything, because we're also curious about how people make it in this business. This business is really interesting, and it's a lot about who you are able to come in contact with and the impression that you make on them. So just keeping that in mind, I don't think that you could misstep.
Yeah, I think it's just like, keep in mind like respect and boundaries, and the same that you would show to anybody you didn't meet on the internet. For example, like Instagram, I think people feel like, oh, I connected with you, so I can ask you to send my thing to so-and-so. It's like, well, would you ask me to do that if we met in person? I don't know. It's like just keeping in mind like normal boundaries, I guess.
Yeah, and there's something also precious about the work that you do. When the stuff that you do, don't just toss it out. You want to make sure that the relationship that you're then handing it over to is something that's they've nurtured a little bit, and there's some sort of a bond, a bridge that's going to allow that to travel on. Because just throwing stuff out in quantity is not the quality that you want for those connections. And it may not be right now a good point to send it to that person, but if you're there and you're present and you're doing good work and you're being genuine, then maybe down the road it will be the right time, and it will be even a better time because they will be in a place, you'll be in a better place. So if you're in it for the long haul, if this is what you want to do, keep doing the work, show up, be genuine. And I think that that's what I would say.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, all of you. And my last question before we turn it over to the crowd, super simple. I'm sure you hear this a lot, but favorite episode / favorite song so far in the first season of Central Park?
Well, my favorite song. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to hop in and say, I think episode 10, I think maybe 106 is my favorite. Is that the one with Andrew Reynolds coming in as,
Yes.
And and writing Too Close for Josh and Andrew was like a dream come true.
Too Close is my favorite song. It's just so brilliant. I love that. That's my favorite. It's just funny. It's subtle, but then just like it goes there. So it's great. And
the way it's animated too is so funny. It's with like thought bubbles and the pig and like the face is washed.
You're going along with the story, and then you're like, oh no, that is too close. That's a little too close. Poor Piggy. Yeah.
Piggy. Yeah, we loved writing Too Close because we had always dreamt of writing something for Andrew Reynolds and Josh Gad because we were such huge fans of them in Book of Mormon. So that was a really crazy dream come true. And I also really enjoyed writing If There's a Will, There's a Way for Daveed Diggs, because it's Daveed Diggs, and the character of Helen in general is maybe my favorite thing. And the song got a reprise where he was imagining how to off this little innocent dog. It's very twisted and fun, and I love writing for that character.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing, folks. Now we're going to turn it over to the audience. We have a few questions so far. First up, we have Mark, followed by Maria, then Andrew. So Mark from Nebraska, how are you doing, sir?
Doing all right.
Good to see you.
Know, what was your experience with Disney like?
It was incredible. We can't say enough good things about that. I assume you're talking about to us and also about Olaf's Frozen Adventure. It was one of those weird times where it felt like everybody on that project was on that project for a reason. We couldn't have gelled more. It was just beautiful and so fun, and the joy of working on it, I think, shines through in the product, and then of course meeting Josh and Kristen and Adina and all the whole cast. Jonathan Groff is like a hero of mine. It was amazing from start to finish. Cannot say one bad thing about the entire process.
Do you have anything coming up with them? Any of you, or?
Oh, I wish.
Fingers crossed.
You know anyone?
But nothing in the pipeline yet. Okay.
Not at the moment, but we hope.
I'm going to ask you
Oh,
this.
good.
I've recently gotten some. I write animation scripts, or I try to, and I recently got. I guess you'd call it a. Well, I got accepted into a kid. What do you know about Kids First, the festival? You ever heard of that?
No.
With exclamation, yeah. Is apparently there's a Kids First festival that you can submit your shorts to or your scripts to, and I got accepted into the festival. I guess I got a letter of acceptance.
Congratulations.
Cool. Yeah, really cool.
On both of my scripts, and I just wondered, apparently that's supposed to buy you some traction with the people on them.
That's great. I'm sure it'll be a wonderful experience.
Okay, I'm trying to find out, who's ever, had something come from Kids First, how if they've ever gotten it, if it's ever gotten them into the
foot in the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question.
You've got mail.
Ooh. We just went on a time warp.
You got another acceptance.
Yeah.
All I know is right now, like Disney Plus is just buying up content like that, and they're just hungry for any and all things, especially in animation. As we all know, this is like one of the few things that's continuing. And so if you have any kind of, or if you do your digging and find a way to get anything in front of them, that would be a really good starting place.
Okay, well, thank you all.
Thank you, Mark.
Good luck.
Thank you so much, Mark. Up next, we have Maria, then Andrew, and then Lance. How you doing, Maria? Oh no, she may have some technical issues. No worries, we'll get back to Maria. Up next, we have Andrew. Hey, how you doing, Andrew?
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, Andrew.
My question is, I've familiar with animation. I had a lot of success with an animated pilot a couple years ago. So it's a genre I'm familiar with. So my question is, how much of the writing for this show is done on the page, and how much of it is done in like the storyboarding process, if any?
Well, I mean, they have a full script that is written beforehand before moving into storyboards. There's always a rewrite process. They're always tweaking, and Loren especially, he wants to make the show the best that it can be up until the moment it's ripped out of his hands. So it's always like, oh, let's change that word. That inflection needs to be changed, whatever. So it's always slightly tweaking up until the very end. I know, like with lyrics, sometimes it'll be like really far down the road. It's like, we're going to change this little lyric, or we're going to shift this, or can we do this? Can we? Are we there yet or not? But always just trying to make it better. But we definitely have to have the script early on for the boards to begin, because those artists, again, need that foundation to say, oh, this is where Paige and Molly are outside in the park. The background needs to be drawn. The assets need to all be created. The props need to be. So it's like that is the foundation that then everything is built off of. And I don't know about lyrics, how those come in, where they come in, because they're also alongside with the script.
Yeah.
I know first season we were bouncing, but I think, I think that's a big part of it too, right?
Yeah, we'll write the song based on the script, and then the fun part for us is then seeing the screening of the storyboard and then the final thing. And so for us, having just sort of, thought of the song in our head, we have no idea what it's actually going to look like, and then we get to see it, and it's always, they just knock it out of the park.
Yeah,
it's
sometimes
incredible.
It's fun to just write in a really odd action and just see if it makes it. And sometimes it does. And we're like, whoa, how did that get in there? And it did.
Yeah, like Helen shaking her monkey bank.
Yeah.
We just decided that she should keep her money in a piggy bank that's actually shaped like a monkey. And they kept it, and it's actually in there. And that's my favorite thing about all of season 1.
Yeah, it's so great. So many people build the world. And so those little things really, an artist sees that and they're like, yeah, of course, a monkey bank. Of course she would have a monkey bank. And so it's really great.
Hilarious.
Thank you so much for your question, Andrew. Up next, we have Lance and then Sarai. Lance from LA, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you again, man. It's been a while.
I know. I missed you, man. I hope you're back soon.
Hopefully.
My question is really, well, it's for anybody who can answer it, but mostly for Chris. I've done a little bit of animation work and editing stuff in the past, but never with a TV series or a feature. It's been other types of content. And it's something, but I have had experience both editing features as well as assistant editing on studio features. But I've been, after having worked with some animation stuff, it's something that I'm more interested in getting into. And I'm curious, what types of software are you using? Are you using something as simple as, say, Premiere? Or because I see like a lot of posts that I see for animatic editors and that, say through DreamWorks or something, they're like, and we want you to know Storyboard Pro, and we want you to. So what are the various pieces of software that you're really looking for someone who's trying to get in to have at least some experience with?
Yeah, and it's so hard because so many things are changing. It used to be Final Cut for animatics, and then it's
Right.
always Avid has been there for post, and so I think editing is editing. That skill is something that goes with you. It's like if you want to build a house, you grab the tool that is the hammer, but you have to know how to build the house first. So editing is that. You've got that. It's just those tools, always making sure that you're staying up on those tools. We use Premiere for our pre-production, for our animatics, where we're building the storyboards and the animatic, and then we finish in Avid.
Okay.
And we have Storyboard Pro in between there, but the artists are really working with that. And I know enough just to get me out of trouble, but I don't have to live in that world.
I gotcha.
But always trying to just learn new tools because they will change. They will always keep changing.
Yes, that is seems to be a daily quest to figure out, oh, here's 100 new things I could learn. Which one am I going to take up?
Yes, yes.
And then my other quick question was, when it comes to doing the animatic, I have done a couple animatics in the past. Nothing terribly extensive, more like for one scene kind of thing rather than a whole film. How much actual animating are you doing in the animatic? For instance, in the past, what I've worked on, they've given me things in layers, and then they've wanted me to do basically some rough animations and that. Because earlier you'd mentioned it's pretty much just still frames. Is that so? Is there some of that in there, or what exactly are you doing?
Yeah, so old school, when I started, we would get all the layers. So if anyone has ever worked with Photoshop, you know that you can kind of layer or stack images on top of images. So you might have just page cut out on a layer, and then you might have the background behind page. And in the animatic phase, she's just a black and white cutout, the background's here. You could slide her across the screen for the time that it's going to take for her to walk across the screen. And we might, as the editor, animatic editor, we might actually time that out. That skill is very valuable because we do it in Storyboard Pro. The storyboard artists are doing much more of that, where they're sliding characters, giving keyframes. If we want to ever do like a sweeping camera shot where the camera's moving around and we're having mountains open or a building slide in front, those are coming from Storyboard Pro. So not having to do a lot of that, but understanding how to do it is really important because, like you said, those layers, as the editor, if you wanted to change the timing of something, that's really in your world. I want to create the right timing for that grand camera move. And if it's not lining up with the music, I need to be able to slow it down, hit a beat, hit a moment, be able to adjust that. So knowing what is happening is important in that.
Great, thank you.
Did that give you enough?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that very much covered it. Thank you.
Good to see you, Lance. Thank you so much, sir. Up next, we have Sarai, followed by Maria, then Gray. Sarai, you there?
Yes. Hi.
Hey.
So I'm honestly really thrilled to be part of this great event. And my background is as a singer and writer, graduated in audio technology. So, and as a freelancer, I recently started working at UC Berkeley as an AV tech. And with all this is kind of like changing that. but I'm working my ways in, trying to collaborate with different artists. I've taken a few roles on in a podcast and in a sitcom, in stage plays, just getting involved in a very humble way, always approaching with like kindness and just being genuine with disposition to work and make myself available. But just kind of wondering from all of you and your professional ways, and how did you start, and if there's any advice. Was it a leap of faith, your education background, or what was a way to get your foot in the door? Was it a word of mouth, someone, or leads of something? That's kind of where I'm at, just trying to figure things out and navigate the best way to become to pursue my career. I currently teach. I'm a preschool teacher, but at the same time I also have other aspirations. So any advice I would appreciate. Thank you.
Yeah, you're asking all the right questions and you're wondering all the right things. And I know for me, I think where I made the best decision I ever made in my life was I found a couple people that I just emulated. So I wanted to emulate because I admired them so much. There were a couple musical theater writers who I thought were doing exactly what I wanted to do and had a style that really, resonated with me. So I went to go hear them talk at, they were doing a question and answer interview at, I think it was 92nd Street Y in New York City. And I just listened to their story and how they made it. And they mentioned where they met. And they said that they met at this workshop called the BMI Lehman Engel Workshop for Musical Theater Writers. And a little light went off in my head and said, well, let me check out that. Let me see what that would be like, because they found their writing partner there. And maybe that's how they got into the business. And then I researched what that was on my own. I didn't ask them for help or anything, but I just heard them say it and found that interesting. And then I auditioned for that program myself. I got in, I met Kate. And then from that moment, every single connection in my life after meeting Kate in that workshop, it was just streamlined. And it took time. It took 10 years to be where we are today. But if I hadn't found those people that I wanted to be like, found out how they did it, and then listened to the details that they were providing, I don't think I would have gotten on this path. So if that helps at all, but you're asking all the right questions, and you're keep being curious, because I think that will help as well.
Yeah, I think it's like those things that feed your soul and those things that feed your creativity. My older sister always talked about a purpose-driven life. And I thought I was going to be able to find that when I graduated college. I was too afraid to audition, and I was like, I don't think I can handle the acting world, even though I've always loved musical theater. So I was like, I'm going to work in arts admin, and I'm going to work for the public theater. And it was part of what I wanted to do. I was in the world, but I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And it was great because I learned so much, and I learned about how the theater world functions and who the key players are, and how off-Broadway and nonprofits different than commercial, and Broadway and for-profit. And I just picked up on as many things as I could. But then I decided one day, I was like, I'm not walking back into this building as an employee unless I am the writer, unless I am the playwright or the lyricist or whatever it may be. And Elyssa and I, we both nannied for years, and we missed out on a lot of friends' weddings and things because we had to nanny. And then in our free time, we were just creating and persisting and making content and never getting too hung up on one project. If one thing didn't seem like it was going anywhere, we would just start another one, and then we'd start another one. And then we took every job and opportunity that came our way, no matter how small. And we just lived and fed ourselves off of the feeling of those small moments where we'd be at the writer's table, even if it was for a 15-minute college musical. And but we were casting it, and we were doing all the things we wanted to be doing. And we would just dream of what it would feel like to one day be doing all of that professionally. And And I think when you feel those feelings and what they really feel like, it just fuels you to actually find the ways to be able to do it professionally. And yeah, I don't know. It's in following those moments where your heart is like, this is it. This is it. I know that's vague, but I think it's worth saying.
And just to echo like something that you just said too, that sounds so, it was like getting clear of what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because we can do so many things. Like you can do so many things. It's just being really clear, like, what do I want to do? And sometimes it's hard earlier on when you're starting. You're like, oh, but there's so many great things that I could do. And you may get offers to do things, but sometimes you got to be like, I want to find things that are a little closer to what I want to be doing. So yeah, but it's good. And staying, like, I got to LA in 2007, and we had a lot of stuff. We had the writer's strike, we had the recession, so it's like little things are going to happen. We have COVID right now. It's but keep going, finding ways, because there will be things that come up and other opportunities. Just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your question. Up next, we have Maria, followed by Gray, then back to Lance. Here's another question. Maria from Scotland, how are you doing? Oh, wait, one second, you're still muted. Hold on. Here we go. Hey.
Hi. Hi, guys. How are you?
Hello.
Good.
How are
Hi.
you? Hi. I'm like I grew up in musical theatre, so that's my training. So I ended up I'm now a high-end film producer and high-end drama, and I've recently got into stop motion animation. That's one of my little things I'm doing.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh. Hey, look at that.
So basically I've got into that right now in lockdown, just to be a bit creative. So I've decided my cat has dyslexia because I'm dyslexic, so I'm making a story about my dyslexic cat, which is a bit weird. However, I'm going to put that out there for because I work with young children who've got autism, so I'm going to put that out there for kids who have autism. And I'm also a children's author. What have you been doing in lockdown to keep your mind occupied? Probably not crazy things like that, but
Maria, that is brilliant, by the way. I just want to say that is so incredible, like genuine from the heart. I'm already like, that is brilliant.
I've never done this before. This is my first attempt.
Wow.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Addie,
thank you so much.
Sorry, dog bark.
Oh.
Addie, shh. No. Come here.
Wait, I have a cat here. So, no, thank you. That's really nice of you. I'm genuinely touched. Thank you so much. That's so nice of you.
Addie.
I'm genuinely humbled.
And your book sounds fantastic, and I think we've been trying to do the same thing. We've been trying to come up with ideas for new projects that will, whether or not they already have a producer, most of them do not, and they're just for us, and they're just something that we're batting around between the two of us, but anything that's from the heart. And there are so many messages that we want to get out into the world, especially about positivity and about being kind to other humans.
Absolutely. It's all about being nice. It's been in this pandemic, you've got to be kind and nice to each other as well. And I'm a producer as well, independently, but I do a lot of things with Beck too. I have a hip with disability, and I think, especially in the UK, disability is underrepresented here in the UK. Is that the same in America, or is there more representation for people with a disability, or do you see that it's underrepresented? What would you say to that?
I think we're coming into an era where we're more representation. We're starting to see that, like Netflix especially, it's not just mainstream where you have 3 networks and it's a very general, it's like mainstream. Netflix is splintering, and we're finding like everybody gets to have stuff that's interesting and unique and representative of who we are. So I think there's a lot of energy and excitement about creating content that is unique and a truly unique voice that's coming from something that we haven't seen before. So
absolutely. I agree, because I found my recently, like you two found each other. I found my female writing partner time last year. So we're starting. I'm also we're launching a global production company for charities, and I've just found my niche. So it's just been an amazing. And Imran is such an amazing guy. To thank you so much for speaking to me, and thank you so much for what you do. You put a lot of hope out there. So you guys are amazing. I want to say to guys to stay safe and be the beautiful human beings that you're coming across as.
Oh my
Thank
God.
you. You as well. You
Yeah.
stay safe and keep doing what you're doing. Keep creating. We
Yeah.
need
Absolutely.
your voice.
Thank you so much. Take care. God bless.
Thank you,
Bye.
Maria. Good to see you as always. Up next, we have
Absolutely.
up next we have Gray, and then back to Lance. How you doing, Gray?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Great. It's always good to see you.
You too. Thank you all for your time today. I had a question related to the animation side. I have a son who would like to get into animation. However, as right now, it's not looking like university is a possibility. So I was trying to figure out, what would you think his first steps would be for himself to try and learn and build until he can go to actual college?
Yeah, what are the things, just from me, what are the things that he is attracted to in animation? Does he like the art, the drawing side of it? Does he like the storytelling side of it? Does he like a certain genre of animation? What do you think?
Drawing.
Drawing. So yeah, I think with artists in animation, being either a storyboard artist or an animator, it is all about drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing again and drawing more and creating characters and working on characters almost like with an obsession. So if he can just keep a notepad on his side, from what I see, I'm not an artist, I can scribble, but from what I've seen working with the artists that we have in our studio, they love to draw. I mean, they're drawing all day, and then they go home and they draw their own stuff. So it is their passion. So if he can find that spark in the drawing, then it will lead into possibly being a storyboard artist. And then if he can start to work on the movement of the drawing, then it goes into animation and how form can shape over time. That's what I would say is like, and finding ways, because for me, I think about drawing and I'm like, oh, that's laborious. I can't sit down and draw. But maybe for him, he finds that enjoyment and excitement.
Okay, thank you. And what about the editing side when it comes to stories?
I think editing right now is so accessible for people because we're all doing it. We are posting all the time and we have cameras in our hands. And I think that shoot something and then there are apps that you can download on your phone and edit, and you can break things out, as make them as difficult as you want or make them as simple as you want. But it's really about, I'm going to shoot this character from this direction, then I'm going to shoot it from this direction. I've got it all on my phone. I can then play with that. So write out a script, write out something, just an interaction at home, and then shoot it with your phone and edit it. And then ask them to put some music to it. Ask him to do some transitions. They're available in the apps. So it's just a simple search and download.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gray. Lance has another question, if that's okay with you folks. Hey, Lance.
Sorry about this. I actually meant to ask it earlier and I forgot, and it's not even that interesting of a question, but I am curious. Are you finding, this is really, again, for Chris, are the shows that you're working on, such as Bob's Burgers or Central Park, are these, for an editor, are those considered union shows? Are they non-union shows? Are the animatic portion one and the post different? How does that work?
Yeah, it's all out there.
There's no rule.
There's no rule. I think that we're moving more towards union in Los Angeles. I think that there definitely is non-union. I definitely worked non-union I wasn't union until Bob's Burgers. So that was a good half of my career. And so it's that baby steps. I was always aiming, I want to be union because there is that security there. But also I wasn't ready for union because I needed to keep doing non-union work. If I had gotten one union job, at an earlier stage, I wouldn't have had the experience to get another union job.
Well,
so
and that's why I'm asking, because
Yeah.
I was union for 11 years, and then I took a detour and started a production and post company with 3 other people and did that for 10 years. So now I'm at the point where I'm trying to get into animation, and I haven't been active in the union for 10 years. So I'm trying to figure out, like, should I go re-up in the union, or since I don't have a lot of experience in the animation, should I stick with the non-union stuff first and go that route?
Yeah, I personally, and again, it's going to be your own journey. You're going to figure it out and find your way. But I would do as a couple non-union jobs, get that experience, get that reel built up, so that you can go in and say, like, I'm ready for a union job. Come at me. There's a lot of work right now. There's a lot of union work too, because Netflix is union and they have a lot of animation. So it may just be that you get on one non-union show and then they come knocking and saying, we need this assistant, we need an editor, and they're gonna flip you. So just personal opinion, but again, it's all individual.
Great, thank you.
Where you're at, but.
Kate, Chris, and Elyssa, we've hit the hour mark. Thank you so much for tuning in with us today and being with us. It was so good to hear from all three of you. Before we go, where can we keep in touch with you, whether it's social media or an official site?
Yeah, we're at on Instagram. We're at Samsel Anderson, or our website is just www.samselanderson.com, and we have like an email form on there if you want to email us.
And since my name is Chris with a K, I have a website, Creative Scratch with K's misspelled. It's KREATIVE, Scratch SKRATCH.com. Kind of basic, but you can always reach me there through the contact form. And yeah.
Amazing. Once again, shout out to Impact24 PR for connecting us with these three amazing creatives. Folks, don't forget, stick around for more networking after this. Kate, Elyssa, Chris, appreciate you all. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Wonderful questions.
Yeah, thanks
Thank you,
everybody.
yeah.
This was
Bye,
really fun.
everybody.